What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today it is my championship review for match day 2 of the championship. My goodness me, I thought last week was unpredictable, but this is on another level of unpredictability. To put it in short, on the left hand side of the screen you're going to see the current table of the prediction league right now. I only scored 2 points in my predictions, so it was clear that I got my predictions way wrong going into this weekend's games. Andy Newbold, however, having a storming lead at the moment already at 19 points, so he's done a terrific start in terms of the predictions. In terms of people who have not entered the league, keep going because there are a number of people who are just outside of actually entering into the league. If you continue entering your predictions, you'll increase your chances of entering the league at some point. And we do have some new people entering this league for the first time. James Macy, for instance, our runner-up from last year's prediction league, has entered into the main league for the first time. Right, so I'm going to talk through all of the current games that have taken place. We have got 10 games to talk about rather than the usual 11 because Coventry and Rotherham was cancelled, which I will talk a little bit about, but not too much time. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It just tries to help the growth of this channel. It really does help. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of my content, and it allows more people to see my stuff as well. Please also share the channel too. All of that really helps too. But without any further ado, let's talk through what happened in week 2 of the championship. Starting with Friday night's game, Birmingham and Huddersfield. Birmingham have picked up their first win of the season with a 2-1 victory over the Terriers. It is 2 defeats in a row to Ryan Schofield's boys. Now, we got to look in terms of the stats in this game. As you can see, for a good 50-55 minutes, the attack momentum was more towards Birmingham's favour. If you do look about the goal scorers and the assisters, you can see there that only 5 minutes in, Birmingham took the lead. Scott Hogan with the goal. And one thing I will say, Junior Bakuna had a new lease of life, actually. He dominated that whole game, not even just that goal. There were so many passages of play where Junior Bakuna went through these Ronaldinho runs and just darting into the box so effortlessly as well. I would really heavily question the back line of Edmonds, Green, Lees, Ruffles and Turton, but the fact that they really did not deal with Bakuna whatsoever. But it just made things so much easier for Hogan. He played a small part in Placheta getting a goal literally just before half-time as well. And I think had Birmingham not scored that second goal, maybe Huddersfield would have been more positive in the second half. But that second goal made things very much safer for Birmingham there. And despite 2-0 being a pretty dangerous scoreline, they managed it very well. They held out until the 61st minute where Huddersfield scored with pretty much their only really great passage of play actually. The movement that they had to actually get to the goal was some brilliant play in the centre of the pitch. Some one-touch passing. Sorba Thomas with a delightful pass to find Danny Ward, and he scored to make it 2-1. Unfortunately though, Huddersfield just looked like they huffed and puffed, but they didn't really look like that they were getting any out of it. If you look here, only 2 shots on target for the Terriers throughout that game, and Birmingham having 6 shots on target there. Possession-wise, Huddersfield have had much more for what they did against Burnley, but they created similarly little as well. So what's concerning me is that Huddersfield, no matter if they have the ball or if they don't have the ball, they are not creating enough full stop to get some points. Birmingham, on the other hand, with 18 shots in itself is ridiculous. And with 6 shots on target, they were more determined and hungry to get points. And lo and behold, Birmingham did. Fair play to them as well. Their first 3 points of the season, and for a small briefing moment, they were top of the championship. So they would hope that they wouldn't fall too far down in terms of game 46. But what I'll say, encouraging stuff for Birmingham, unbeaten in their opening 2 games as well. Huddersfield, on the other hand, there are some very worrying signs already with a lack of clinical ability going forward, and defensively looking very shambolic. Norwich managed to pick up their first point and their goal in terms of their championship season. It was, however, a home draw against newly promoted Wigan Athletic. And I do think they'll be disappointed with this. If you can see the attack momentum there, it's pretty much 95%, if not more, in terms of Norwich's favour. You look at the stats there and think, how did Norwich not even score more? 22 shots. But if you look here, only 4 shots on target. Only 4 shots on target. That's less shots on target than what Birmingham did, where they had substantially less shots than what Norwich had. So something tells me that whilst they're creating chances, being clinical is something that they're not doing a great job with. If I can do the quick maths right now, their conversion rate, or at least converting shots to shots on goal, is less than 20%. And that is not a great sign for Norwich, especially if they really want to try and use the attacking players of Rashia, Sargent, who came on in the second half, Pookie as well, and Cantwell as well. Those players really got to step up, really. There was one passage of play, actually, where I think it may have been Cantwell with a really good pass to Pookie, and Pookie with a heavy touch loses out, where I would think of Pookie 2 years ago, he wouldn't allow that bad touch to happen, and he would have absolutely nailed it. And I will say, Amos, the goalkeeper for Wigan, made a couple of decent saves. There was one save from Pookie where I think he got a fingertip and it came off the crossbar. The goals that came in, Wigan scored first in the 29th minute. Mistake at the back by Ben Gibson, really poor on his part defensively. And this was, I think, after actually when Callum Lang squandered a huge chance to give Wigan the lead. Wigan eventually did take the lead, and it was James McLean out of all the people to score the first goal for Wigan's season as well. That made it 1-0 to Wigan. But it was Max Aarons who scored Norwich's first goal for the season. And finally, a bit of quality down wide as well. Alternating, for 2 wide areas there, combining well. Aarons, unmarked, and also Amos, I think, should better with that shot. But other than that, both teams have scored their first goal of the season. Wigan have picked up their second point, Norwich with their first point. Definitely both need to work on some things. Wigan, I would dare say, they need to manage the game a little bit better, holding that lead, and they did well to get a draw out of it, but better game management will probably prevent Norwich from scoring in the first place. And with Norwich, they just could be better, being clinical really. And something tells me, I think defence will eventually start to improve there and they'll feel more comfortable. The thing that can take a little bit of time if they don't address it soon enough is being confident and clinical and having a cutting edge going forward. And if they don't have that, things could get really, really dicey for Norwich. But I personally think they will eventually get that goal scoring form. It's just going to take a little bit of time for them. We had an eye-catching game at Ashton Gate, a 5-goal thriller with Sunderland picking up their first win, returning to the Championship after a 4-year absence. 3-2 away win. And I got to say, the last time these two played against each other was a 3-3 draw. So I should have predicted that there would be a similar scoreline, and it definitely was. We were on course for another 3-3 draw, but alas, it was the Mackhams who managed to edge out in this game. So it was really topsy-turvy. Sunderland taking the lead, and Ellis Sims, who was on loan for Blackpool quite recently when they were in League One. But this is like his first real chance to, I think, really nail a league championship season. And I've got to say, Ellis Sims, I think, is definitely showing me reassurance that he is up for a championship season. We even had Sunderland's top goal scorer, Ross Stewart, getting on the score sheet as well. Pritchard getting the credits for the assist there. For Bristol City's goals, Andre Vyman, of course, a constant goal scorer for Bristol City, making it 1-1. Viner again with the assist, so those two have been combining very, very well. And they briefly took the lead, Bristol City. Chris Martin and Andre Vyman again getting the assist this time, making it 2-1 to Bristol City. But I've got to say, Sunderland did really, really well to get back into this. If you see this there, stats was pretty close. 13 shots to 16, 6 shots to 5, 6 shots off target to 4 there. So it was a really even game, and it was pretty much who was going to be the most clinical going forward. And Sunderland just edged that. And I do think defensively, both teams need to work on some things. I think they've definitely got a great goal threat within their squads now. And I've got to say, I think Alex Neil is climatising this team very well for the Championship. And I'm really intrigued to see how far can Sunderland go with this positive momentum? They've stayed unbeaten, I think, since February in their league games. So that is a very encouraging sign for Sunderland that they can potentially stay unbeaten for a long, long time. With Bristol City, it's 2 defeats in a row, and obviously had a bit of optimism in terms of their signings as well. It was definitely not the start that they wanted. I do think they could turn it around, but things are going to be questioned very, very soon if they don't pull their form around. So Burnley dropped their first points of the season, drawing at home to Luton Town by 1 goal apiece. And they did fall behind in this game as well. It was Dan Potts who scored very early on in the 5th minute of the game as well. Luke Freeman getting involved with his saves. It was a bit of a scramble, and you felt that Muric made the save, but then it was Dan Potts with the rebound to make it 1-0 to Luton. And when Luton scored first, I thought, oh, now Burnley are going to find this interesting, because Luton are one of the worst sides to fall behind to. If you knew what they were like last year, they're very, very tough to try and overtake in terms of taking the lead. They are very stubborn with their tactics and stuff like that. But Burnley, to be fair, did push, as you can see, with that momentum there. You know, Luton started well, but then it was pretty much all Burnley till the 90th minute, right at the end. It was Josh Brownhill who scored the goal. In fact, his first home goal for Burnley. So it's surprised me how long he scored, his first home goal for his club. But in the 50th minute, he scored that. Ashley Barnes came involved, and Ashley Barnes missed a really big chance near the end as well, where his shot came out just wide of the post. But a clean strike from Brownhill to make it 1-1. You can see from stats there, shots-wise, it was pretty close, but possession-wise, look at that. Another highly possessive performance with Burnley, 71% of the ball. But look at that, only 1 shot on target, which was their goal. So Burnley definitely did not create a lot in this game. And that does worry me slightly. They've got to be very, very careful with that they don't necessarily rely too much on the ball and they don't create enough. You know, I think Swansea have got this problem as well, where you carry too much of the ball, but then you don't do enough with it. So Burnley got to be pretty wary of that. Luton, to be fair, didn't do much either. So only 3 shots on target in 90 minutes, averaging a shot on target per 30 minutes. It's not really the best of spectacles, but I did expect that both of these teams would be, they couldn't be any more different. And I do think it was going to be a really, really tight game. And the last it ended 1-1. And I've got to say, I think Luton will feel quite happy with those 2 draws in the moment. Birmingham, they don't have a great record against. And Burnley as well, definitely one of the favourites as well for the top 6. I think Luton have done all right so far, actually. This game I don't need too much description of. Preston 0, Hull City 0. You can see from the attack momentum there, Preston holding on to the ball and looking very, very confident with it. But one thing that's really, really evident is that Preston need a striker of some sorts in the transfer window still. Troy Parrott and Emil Rees is just not going to work at the moment. It really isn't. And right now, they're having 3 big chances missed. So it's not like that they are struggling to create anything sufficient, for what I would say for what Huddersfield are having right now. I just think Preston are just simply lacking the confidence and the cutting edge to get that goal across. A bit similar to what Norwich are going through right now, actually. So to have that amount of opportunities and to score nothing still, it's quite surprising. Hull, for me, I was a bit disappointed with them. I did expect more from them. Only 6 shots and only 1 shot on target. And as you can see there, time wasting there from Alfie Jones. Hull were holding on. And I think Hull have got the players to definitely get more than just a draw. So I don't think that mentality was right from Hull. I definitely think they understepped the mark for what they did in this game. I think they felt a bit fortunate to get something out of this, which, last year they completely wrecked Preston in the past. So I was surprised that they didn't show this confidence again. But Preston are the only team in the Championship now yet to score in this new season. So as I would say again, they definitely need a new striker. As with Hull, 4 points out of 6 is actually a pretty decent start. So I said I'm slugging Hull their performance. They're getting points, and honestly, that is all they need right now. Second 5-goal thriller of this weekend came at Loftus Road, and I've got to say, how many of you predicted QPR 3, Middlesbrough 2? I tell you what, definitely one of you have predicted this scoreline, which I was very impressed that any of you, for 1, predicted QPR to win, and 2, to even get the correct score spot on as well. Some of you guys are just onto something with your predictions this year, I swear. But with this game, I tell you what, QPR in the opening 30 minutes, you know, we've seen Lyndon Dykes score, who's not scored for QPR in double figures of matches. Chris Willock goes through one of the best goals I've ever seen in the Championship with a dribble like in the midfield and then shooting about 25 yards out in the top corner. You know, none of this game made sense, especially in the first half. Jimmy Dunn also got the other goal for QPR, which made it 3-0 to QPR before half-time. However, in stoppage time, Matt Crooks managed to sneak in a goal just before half-time. So you thought maybe there were early warning signs that Middlesbrough were going to mastermind a new comeback. Chris Wilder was really not happy. I heard some of the audio and he really wasn't a pleased man at all. Force scored his first goal for Middlesbrough to make it 3-2 in the 56th minute. I thought, okay, this is, you know, the moment we're going to see. Can Middlesbrough fight back? Unfortunately, that answer is no. They really didn't, and that actually kind of surprised me for how little they fought back, really. As you can see, despite having 12 shots, a couple of more there, QPR had more shots on goal. 3 shots, and 2 of them were goals. So, you're only telling me that they only had 1 other shot on target in that time when they're trying to get a comeback. That's really, really poor for Middlesbrough for me. Still, once again, I don't know what to make of them. I just think they're missing this 20-goal a season striker. I don't massively rate Akpom, I've got to be honest. And they're probably going to be looking at, I don't even know, Forster's going to be their most reliable striker. But I don't know. I really do not know how I feel about the current situation with Middlesbrough. I really got to be honest right now. I just think they're missing something and they definitely got potential there. It goes from bad to worse when Lenny Ham, one of their new signings, gets sent off as well for a second yellow card as well. So it's a real shame for what happened with Middlesbrough in this game. And they should hopefully learn from it as well. But with QPR, what a win to get like that. You know, to beat Middlesbrough and the fashion that they did so. It's definitely going to be a memorable one for QPR throughout of this season. If I sounded shocked that Birmingham won their first game, you should have heard my reaction knowing that Reading won their first game as well. Beating, out of all the teams, Cardiff, with probably my result of last weekend, beating Norwich, one of the promotion favourites, to then go out to lose 2-1 to the relegation favourites. This is why the Championship makes no sense and it's so unpredictable at times as well. It was Cardiff who actually did take the lead very early again. We're getting a lot of early goals in this weekend. Callum O'Dowda getting the early goal in that game. Questionable defending in the build-up to that from the back line for Reading there. They will definitely ask questions about. But, great finish on his part. But, Shane Long, which I only found this out quite recently, his last goal for Reading before he left, I believe, to join a Premier Club in maybe Southampton or something, was a penalty for Reading against Cardiff. And lo and behold, the first goal since its return to the Championship for Reading is a penalty goal against Cardiff. So it definitely did tempt fate there to make it 1-1. And I've got to say, I think throughout the rest of the game it was very even. I think Reading may have slightly edged it actually in terms of stats and that. So as you can see, 8 shots to 6, 2 shots on target each. Not much separated the teams as well. If anything, attacking wise, we didn't really see a lot. But we needed a miracle, and what they had was a miracle goal from Tom Ince, a top corner finish that any striker would be proud of. So, fair play Tom Ince. He was actually in my predictions of worst transfer or biggest transfer flop for video I did with Matt SB, and I wholeheartedly apologise in the moment, especially if he's the biggest reason to why Reading may stay up this season. Great 3 points for Reading. For Cardiff, back to square one really. All that hope and optimism that a lot of us fans had after you beat Norwich by 1-0 has now just been completely destroyed by this questionable performance. So once again, it looks like it's going to be another unpredictable, inconsistent season for Cardiff. The Blades responded in a big way after losing their opening game to Watford. They beat Millwall by 2-0. Millwall before this weekend were top of the Championship after a really great performance against Stoke. In this game, it really has shown me for what Millwall still lack. And that for me is pretty much dealing with heavy pressing, actually. You know, Millwall tend to be a real physical, bullish team. But when another team's bullishes, you know, the other team, but can definitely use that to an effect to form an attack, it just, I think, like, it really does halt and actually kind of scares Millwall, to be honest. And that's what I kind of felt from that performance, was a bit of a scared performance. You know, they barely batted an eyelid from Sheffield United, in all honesty. If you can see right here, only one shot on target, which, you know, I don't lie when I say they barely bat an eyelid. They only had one shot on goal. Sheffield United, on the other hand, had 6. 19 shots were actually, you know, created there, but only 6 of them on target. So I still question that they should be more convertible. But having said that, they scored 2 great goals. One of them came from a long goal kick from Fotheringham there. And definitely Gary Rowett was not happy with that goal. He thought that Brewster fouled one of his players in the build-up to that goal. For me, it's a contact sport. And I didn't even talk about the controversial no penalty from Norwich and Wigan either. I'll quickly touch on that. For me, I understand why people think it's a pen. I don't personally think it should. I would have been raging if that was given against me, pretty much. So I probably would say no. But with this situation for Sheffield United and Millwall, I kind of understand. But if anything, it's a contest to win the ball. And I don't think the Millwall player is strong enough. You know, I think he can definitely make himself more broad and try and win, you know, if you're anticipating goal kicks. So I do think it's just a lack of desire, to be honest, which I think would definitely disappoint Rowett there. Ndai scores the first goal to make it 1-0. And 15 minutes later, Sanderberger makes it 2-0. A really, really poor mistake as well. The back for Millwall, you know, in the lead up to that goal as well. We already talked about, you know, making mistakes in the back line. And I believe, you know, for Norwich, we had Ben Gibson. I think this time we had, I think it may have been Charlie Cresswell or Jamie Shackleton, one of the new lead signings, who made a mistake. And it was a really, really bad moment for either one of them to concede a goal at that magnitude to make it 2-0 Sheffield United. By that time, Sheffield United were cruising, could have even scored third had Oliver Norwood knew how to score a penalty. But Bill Kowski, however, you know, very reliable in the spot and made a really good save actually to deny Norwood. So in the end, very comfortable win and exactly what Sheffield United needed. As with Millwall, they've got to really evaluate that now. They're going to know that they're not going to compete with the out and right favourites for top 6. But what they really got to do is work on that away record. I definitely think that away record is their kryptonite, and they really are showing early vulnerability with that. So Gary Rowett definitely needs to think about how is he going to fix that away record and make it as good as his home record for the rest of the season. We're talking about Millwall beating Stoke in their last game. Stoke responded to that in a big way, beating Blackpool by 2-0. So they've now managed to neutralise their goal difference. Blackpool, after beating Reading and having such a really positive start to the season, questions are now starting to be considered in terms of this Blackpool team. Now, Josh Tymon, very underrated player as a whole. He gets 2 assists in this game in general. Harry Clark with the first goal, one of their newer transfers. I think he was previously in Hibernian in the Scottish League. Scores the first goal for Stoke. In the second half, Jacob Brown finishes off the scoring to make it 2-0. What I will say, if you can look at the stats, Blackpool had more of the stats, but look at that. Stoke had double the shots, and Blackpool, the alarming statistics, 0 shots on target despite 10 shots. If you can see, they did have one big chance miss, but what I will say, I think Stoke could have scored more as well. As you can see, they also hit the woodwork once, and Stoke missed 2 big chances. So Stoke definitely still developing that confidence and that cutting edge, but they've definitely shown more encouraging signs of that. As with Blackpool, they've definitely taken a step back in my estimations for me, and they're really going to make sure that they work in trying to make their home record as good as they can, because I think that could be their best chance, Blackpool, in terms of having still a pretty good season overall. And then to the final game that took Blackburn to the top of the Championship. Swansea 0, Blackburn Rovers 3. I gotta say, Blackburn, I am really surprised that you're doing so well right now. John Dahl Thomason is doing a madness right now. As you can see, Swansea having a lot of the attack momentum, but how often do we say this about Swansea? When they hold the ball way too much, they just don't create enough with it. Blackburn, who barely touched the ball, created 3 chances and 3 goals. And that really is damning for Swansea with their dominance on the ball as well. Look at that, 29% possession to Rovers, having 5 shots and 4 on target, 3 of them being goals. So you could argue defensively when Blackburn attack, they do look a little bit wide apart. Blackburn definitely very strong on the counter-attack there. Swansea did actually have more shots on target, to be fair, so it's not like they didn't create anything. They just, I think, look a little bit more predictable, and I think Blackburn set up very well. And I definitely think the way that Blackburn play, I just definitely think the way that they executed it definitely hurt this Swansea team. Once again, just having mistakes leading to goals, especially when you see teams trying to play out from the back as well. We're seeing too many examples, I think, when teams try and play out from the back, that they just get punished for it. It's not that I don't want to see it, it's just you need to work this right balance. And if you've got players that are not comfortable doing it, you shouldn't play out from the back in general, whilst as good as it can be when you get it right. You know, with a league game, you really want to go for it, but you also want to kind of play it safe as well. You don't want to make any mistakes. You know, we're seeing a ruthlessness in the Championship, that one mistake, you know, you get punished for it. So, one thing I will say about Swansea, I think they're learning the hard way that they've got to be a little bit more versatile by the way they play with Martin Ball right now. They've got to definitely find another solution to this right now, because I do think a couple of teams are figuring them out a little bit. As for Blackburn, I mean, let's just look at this right now. Blackburn, top of the league, and they're doing really well so far. I've got to give Blackburn so much credit for that. They've done really well. I'll give them that. Then you see Sunderland second. I cannot believe this. Sunderland second, with Burnley third, Birmingham fourth, Hull fifth, and Sheffield United sixth. Then you go to the teams, you know, that are still trying to get their first points of the season, and that's Bristol City and Huddersfield. I've got to say, in game 2, to only have 2 teams not to have a single point so far, I tell you what, most of the Championship teams are trying to get off the mark very quickly. It's going to be a very fast-paced and competitive season in the Championship, and I love it. We'll finally go off to why Coventry and Rotherham was postponed. So, as you can see from the title, Coventry's opening home game postponed because of unsafe and unplayable pitch. So I did see a rumour, and I've been seeing pictures all over my Twitter in terms of how poorly the Rico Arena looked. It really did not look match day ready. And there was a Rugby Sevens event involving the Wasps, which was why the pitch just wasn't at a great condition. And it definitely got some Coventry City fans unhappy, almost wanting the Wasps to get out. That's pretty much all that I pretty much saw with all the tweets I saw from Coventry City fans yesterday. And Rotherham fans thinking, oh, here we go again, you know, another game that's being cancelled due to exceptional circumstances. If you remember Rotherham last time they were in the Championship, they had a ridiculous schedule to the end of the season, which ultimately they couldn't cope with, which really contributed to their relegation. So, right now, but definitely both teams weren't happy with this. There hasn't been a day confirmed as of now in terms of when this day is going to be fulfilled. It may have happened whilst I've been making this video, but as of now, there's definitely not been a confirmed date so far. But I can not only just say my disappointment in terms of this game, but Coventry fans and Rotherham fans all disappointed as well. But I'm just hoping that both of them can respond in a big way. They've both got Carabao Cup action, you know, coming out very soon. And hopefully both can respond in a great way in their next Championship game. So guys, that will have to wrap it up today for my Championship review of Match Day 2. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It just tremendously helps the channel. It really helps the growth of this channel. Please also hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. It really helps the growth of this channel. And please also share this channel too. That really helps as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.